per liter, or even 400 naira per liter. I know that in some places in the country currently where fuel is being sold for about 350 naira per liter. Abuja seems to be enjoying. If this happens and the prices officially go up, wouldn't we see a situation where some states would even be selling fuel for as much as 1,000 naira per liter? How would Nigerians survive? Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this change? How prepared are you for this? They say it's coming. It's inevitable. You recall in 2012 when the Jonathan administration was going to withdraw subsidy, Nigerians protested. The political class led a protest. Well, the opposition at the time led a protest, massive protest. Nigerians came out, occupied Nigeria. Nigerians stayed at home for days, didn't go out to work or anything. The federal government was forced at the time to reverse it. Now we see a situation where some policies that are very good have been reversed on account of, maybe the ignorance on the part of Nigerians. Today, about 11 years after, we're back to the same spot that we left in 2012. It's the same situation we're talking about, the cashless policy. The cashless policy is one, then many people have said, oh no, let's not do this. It just seems like we're postponing the evil day. So what we did in 2012 was literally postpone the evil day. That day that we're running away from is still staring us in the face. So this next administration may decide, so just to win, political points, we'll decide we'll continue to pay so that the people don't get angry against us, right? But then that would mean that we're still going to be postponing the evil day, because that day would definitely come where we would need to sit down and decide for ourselves. Is this subsidy something that we want to continue? Do we want to sustain this, or do we just want to end it? Now, backtrack a little. Recall that this administration had told us several times the subsidy was removed, right? When they came into power, fuel price was at about 87 naira per liter. They moved it to about 97 naira per liter. There was a 10 naira increase at the time or so. And Nigerians said, oh, no, okay, let's remove the subsidy. They're removing subsidy. That's what we're told. Let's remove subsidy. We're going to use the monies to fix other things, other infrastructure. Nigerians agreed. Fuel prices continued to go up until it went to 140 naira. Went to 170 naira, and now it's 190 naira. What is happening? Are we still removing subsidy? We're still going to remove subsidy eventually in May or before the end of May, right? And that's when the fuel price would go up to, or most likely go up to 750 naira, as the experts say. Are we deceiving ourselves? Now, recall that the NNPC is a sole importer of crude, and now we have what is referred to as the crude oil swap. We swap crude oil for finished products. That's the PMS that we use. A lot of questions are on my mind, and I'm going to bring in experts later. We're going to be talking with Mfong, who's going to be sharing thoughts with us on Nigeria's crude oil swaps and all of that, what it is that we stand to gain as ordinary Nigerians. We'll be talking about that. But in the meantime, I'd love to hear from you how prepared you are for the new price regime that's coming, that we may not be able to escape. Even if we escape it now, it may still eventually happen. Recall that the president-elect had said, look, whether we like it or not, he's going to remove fuel subsidy. So if the Buhari administration does not remove it, he is going to remove it. So, well, that evil day is finally staring us in the face. Well, it's funny that the same people who told us that fuel subsidy removal was bad for us are the ones who are telling us now that fuel subsidy is good for us, and they would remove it whether we like it or not. So let's get in that conversation. Join me and let me hear from you. How prepared are you? Have you braced yourself enough for the impact of the removal of fuel subsidy? Call me 090-7353-0044 and 090-8766-8888. That is 090-7353-0044 and 090-8766-8888. When we play politics with everything in this country, this is where we get to. That's what happens when we play politics with everything, including the lives of Nigerians. when we use it to play politics and score cheap political points, at the end of the day, the problem continues to stare us in the face, and at some point we would have to confront it, whether we like it or not. We cannot continue to play ostrich. We've been told over time, or made to understand, that subsidy is a scam. And if it's a scam, why have we maintained it? Why have we left this scam to continue to go on in our dear country, Nigeria, even when we're fighting corruption? I'd love to hear you. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Prince.
Good morning, Moses.
Moses, thank you very much.
I'm glad you're here.
You have raised an issue that has been a challenge not to the present government, even the past government, on oil subsidy. The question is, what are the impacts and influence would this oil subsidy have on ordinary Nigerians? That is one of the questions. Would they use that as a remedy to bring 3 square meals to the Nigerians, ordinary Nigerians? Would they use that to put our hospitals in order where we have free medical care? Would they use that to make sure that we have good social welfare? What have they invested or in place as a system to help the unemployed? So until all this has been structured out for people to see it on the ground, then you talked about oil subsidy. It's not after that you embezzle the money, you keep it within yourself and your children which are not yet born, the unborn children. What are we saying? Look at a nation that has crude oil and oil. When you begin to mention them, how do they live? How is their economy? Look at Nigeria that is blessed with mineral resources. Look at Qatar. There was a document I read on a paper on Qatar. They depend on oil, and that oil, they put their nations in a good condition where even their own ordinary citizens enjoy the dividends of what they are getting out from the oil. Look at Saudi Arabia. Look at many other countries like that. So the challenge is that removing oil subsidy in a corrupt environment, it will not help the ordinary Nigerians. That is why any moment there is an announcement of increment on oil, on fuel, the next division, the granite seller will say they don't increase oil. Transport increase. Many things, other things, house rent will increase. Landlord will say they don't increase. What has oil subsidy got to do with a house that has been built for ancient days? So these are the questions. Touch anything regarded to oil subsidy today, you will see how many price of many things will change. That is what you are saying. So until Nigerians look onto our government to bring out a structure where the ordinary Nigerians who suffered to come out to vote for them will have a good plan that these people, you update them from their what? From their suffering. Did you ever hear that we have free education? Where do we have free education? That is, so we shouldn't deceive ourselves. Okay, the incoming government that has not yet come begin to announce himself as, okay, if he comes, definitely he will remove that oil subsidy. Was he doing that before campaign or after campaign? So that is the challenge we have in this country.
Right.
So in a nation where corruption has become order of the day, this is where we always find the problem. So immediately you talked about oil subsidy, you will discover that many things will change. People will increase many other items until the issue of government to bring all these facilities to the doors of the other Nigerians to enjoy, and also implement this price control. Right. Thank you, God bless.
Thank you very much, Moses. Let's get to another caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello, President.
Good morning. Is that Sunday the Prince?
Well, this topic, it carry weight. And they game also they come like this, I swear.
Thank you. What's your name, sir?
Within these guys, they plan us, so you know go there, okay. I swear. See a whole country like this, where we just now we have the oil, they agitate, they come from ground. Eh? You are removing fuel subsidy for 1 ram, 50 naira. Now, like this, what will be the, let me say 100 or 150. How much is the cost of things in the market? Eh? These guys want to finish us. They want to ground us. What do we do to these guys? Because they have the opportunity to be there. They have the luck to be there. Now they now inflict all the whole conflict and every calamity on us. What is wrong? The whole country, somebody suggested that they should import the fuel, the crude oil. The another country to be refined. After you finish, you refine it, finish, you go and still buy it again from their hand. How? How can you have your own granite in your house and you can't go another person come back to go and fry? Eh? These people should sit down and sit down on the round table and talk. Oh. If not, these people just want to cause crisis in this country. What is wrong with them? They should come down and do something right. Oh.
Okay. Okay.
They should come together. They should come together. They should call themselves. What do we do? What do we do them? We call ourselves a giant of the country, and we are doing all the whole leaders just doing what they want. Build hotel, build the plaza, build everything, build estate everywhere. Where nobody can rent. What is this?
Thank you very much for calling. I didn't get your name though. What's your name?
Jerry.
Jerry, thank you very much for calling. All right, let's bring in another caller. But then let's look at this subsidy thing, okay? If we're looking at subsidy, somebody said, look, we seem to be paying subsidy for wealthy Nigerians or average Nigerians. The poor Nigerian, what does the poor Nigerian gain from subsidy? Before you bite my head off, listen. So let's say the average guy drives maybe a V6, right? That guzzles petrol. He buys a full tank and that lasts him for only a week. Meanwhile, the poor Nigerian who we say we're subsidizing PMS4 maybe drives or rides a bike, and that his bike could have maybe 2 liters of fuel in that bike can last him for the next 2-3 days. So who are we really subsidizing PMS for? Is it those who can afford it or those who cannot afford it? Because if fuel goes to 750 naira, that man who buys 2 liters of fuel to ride his bike to and fro the farm or the market may not be able to afford it at all. He may not even be able to afford that 2 liters that takes him to the market back and forth. All right, but the guy who drives a V8 or a V6 can afford to maybe buy half tank now at this time when it goes up to 700 naira, right? And still drive around town and intimidate or oppress the one who we're saying we're paying subsidy for. So think about it. And I'll bring in another caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello, my boys.
Good morning. Good morning to you. John, I'm glad you're here. Go ahead, let me hear you.
Yes, sir. These people are not thinking about how they will reform the refinery. And during the campaign and everyone, I wanted to hear from all these presidential aspirants what they're going to do with the oil refinery. We keep on hoping on Dangote. They will always tell us, and that's what this government has been hoping for, that Dangote will do this, Dangote refinery will come up and all that. We have almost 3 or 4 refineries. All of them are down. Why are they interested in importing fuel? Just like somebody said, you have granite and you want to go and fry in somebody's compound. What is the benefit? Just you have analyzed this and downloaded it very well. That even if you listen, there is no need to call it, but we still need to call. What do we benefit from this very subsidy they are removing? You can imagine what the money you are calling now, 700. Then, for me that have maybe a small generator, I will buy 700 naira per liter of fuel. At the end of the day, it will not serve the purpose. They are not thinking about us. It is all about them and them and them. And it's because Nigerian youth and Nigerian masses are just sit down, they look attitude. nobody to say no, this thing cannot work, because they cannot work in an organized society. These things they are coming in. Already this government have declared economic war against this country, and the other man is talking about the same legacy of economic war against the Nigerian people. Is it the oil is the Nigerian-based economy, and anything you do about that oil, we are the receiving end. It is very unfortunate that these people don't think with their head and they always what will benefit them. Drive the economy. When you talk about now, somebody will call now say, hey, there's economic crisis everywhere and all that. But those who are prepared for this thing will always benefit. Put this refinery in order. Then Saudi Arabia are making money out of Russia, the Ukraine war. Many of them are making money. How much are they making for this? They're busy importing, even the one that will knock your engine down. That one, nobody is talking about it again. And NPC bringing a bad oil that many of the Nigerians have to buy and still take their motor to mechanic. It's just unfortunate. Nigeria needs to take their country back from this monopoly.
All right. Thank you very much, John. Appreciate you calling in. And let's bring in this next caller, and then let's quickly talk about, how it is that in Nigeria today, like John mentioned, we're not talking about revamping. It seems like we're not looking at how to ensure that there's sufficiency, that the product is available to Nigerians in quantum to the point where there's a bit of competition. So we've seen over time that what is referred to as illegal refineries have been destroyed, by the federal government. Even those who have modular refineries, right? Those who are building smaller refineries to be able to, service small communities, they have to buy crude oil from the federal government in dollars. So when they tell you that Dangote refinery, or when they tell us that Dangote refinery is going to come on stream, and when that comes, or when that happens, things are going to change in the oil sector and the PMS and all that. We're looking at it and we're still thinking Dangote would have to buy crude oil in dollars as well. The NNPC has stakes, yes, in the Dangote refinery, but then would that allow for Dangote to sell PMS to Nigerians at just any price that the federal government decides? No. Also, we see that the Dangote refinery is at the free trade zone, which means that he's probably going to operate as an international company, even here. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Don.
Good morning, my friend. Yeah,
Don,
this is Don.
good to have you.
Yeah, okay, see, I heard you say that some people who have no business with oil are also increasing their business, increasing their prices. See, friends, there is nobody who has no business with oil in Nigeria. That's the fact. Why? Because someone who is, there is any need of transportation in Nigeria that is devoid of, that will not have to do with fuel. Once fuel increase, all this, most of these food stores and everything, and all those, anything you can think of is being conveyed with all this oil. So there is no way to not affect. And for this, for people saying that landlords will increase their price, of course, if he did not increase, he will not be able to buy something reasonable for his family. These things are connected. That being said, that does not mean that I am supporting subsidy. Subsidy has always been a scam. All of us know that. Okay? What some of us are saying is that these same people that refuse the government, who could have managed, removing this subsidy then, well, are the ones that want to do it now, even when they have destroyed the whole economy of the country, because they don't even know how they are going to manage this thing. So that's why we are concerned. Okay, if they increase this thing, if they remove that subsidy, the effect is going to be catastrophic. Obviously, it's a serious scam. But some of us are saying, let people who know what to do come in and take care of this.
But then, Don, looking at how this thing has dragged on for too long, don't you think we should just remove it once and for all, and the pains and difficulties? But
and you don't even know what to do so that, you can ameliorate some of this suffering, it's going to be a serious issue. That is what we're saying. This government, their space at end is about to end. They should just allow it. The new government, whoever it is, at least he will, settle down and know how to take care of this thing.
All right.
For them to move in it, that's
Okay,
where I am having issues.
Okay, Don. Hashtag Waiting We Gain radio show where we'll talk about shortly. Keep it with us. Let's bring in another caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
There's still a holdback.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Oh, this is good. Go ahead.
I said, let's sit down and look back to when the First Republic, when crude oil was discovered. So it's issue from study, we discovered that there are external forces that don't want Nigeria to grow. Immediately crude oil was discovered in Nigeria, Nigeria began to have issues. How can we be number one oil producing country in Africa, at least top 10 in the world, and we don't have a refinery? Immediately any government come in and measure refinery, there are external forces, which are foreign countries, collaborating with the greedy Nigeria in this. If any president made measure of building refinery, they can take it out. Before Nigeria can be good or settled, that person is ready to sacrifice himself to Nigeria. So the better this subsidy of a thing happened. How does it? It's something that we're supposed to see. How does it come about? How did subsidy happen? Who are they paying subsidy to? How is subsidy? What is it all about? I think there's one certain time, there's honorable that came out, that came to this FM, this Human Rights of Radio. Talk issue about, crude oil, how Nigeria crude oil was being transported, was being sold to 45 different countries. That's about $500 billion of unaccounted oil, which is calls for national money. And up to now, nobody has ever questioned those people. Is this money not enough to build a crude oil, to build a refinery? Now, the license, building refinery to Dangote, that is another scam on its own. First, Dangote is part of federal government, but is just indirectly. How can
This morning, the conversation continues. We're talking more. I told you Gabriel will be joining us. Gabriel will be joining us as we continue the conversation. We're talking Nigeria's crude oil swaps through Betting We Gain radio show, brought to you by the Policy Alert as well.
You want buy but you don't get money? Microwave, TV, I mean you want pay never bill. Download Yangabeat from any online store. With 100 naira, fund your wallet. Choose a plan for your Get Pass. Start spinning and winning. The player with the highest number wins the bid. Anything when you want buy, you can bid it and win it. Yangabeat, Nigeria's online marketplace.
You can call us on 091 3000 2014 091 3000 2014.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
And thank you so much for staying with us. This is your radio experience you can count on the Eagles Outlook, and we're bringing you the Waiting We Gain radio show, which is produced by Policy Alert, a non-governmental organization working on fiscal and ecological justice at the subnational levels, especially in the Niger Delta. The Waiting We Gain radio show is an activity within the hashtag Waiting We Gain Opening Extractives project, supported by Open Ownership and Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, as well as in partnership with the Nigeria Extractive Initiative and Transparency industry rather, Nigeria Extractive Industry and Transparency Initiative. And joining me this morning to delve into the conversation, Nigeria's crude oil swaps through a beneficial ownership lens, is Mfong Gabriel. Mfong, good morning and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Prince Tiana. So it's my pleasure to be on air with you this morning. Good morning to all our listeners.
I'm glad that we're talking about crude oil at this time when, the federal government or the industry stakeholders are saying Nigerians may be buying fuel at over 750 naira per liter if fuel subsidy is removed. Now let's try to find out what Nigerians stand to gain with all of this oil swap and all that we've been talking about. First of all, before we delve into that, what's the hashtag Waiting We Gain opening extractives project all about? Let's get to understand it so that we can build on the conversation from there.
Oh, okay, all right. To start with, like you rightly mentioned, the Waiting We Gain project is actually political extractive project. We've been doing several activities in the extractive sector. By extractive sector, we're talking about oil, gas, and mining. So what we gain is what we are known for. It's more like asking what is in for the people. What are the people gain in all the oil and gas and mining resources extracted in the country? What's the gain of the people? That's the question we are asking. And for this opening, Waiting We Gain Open Extractive Project is supported by Open Ownership and the Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, EITI, in partnership with NAITI, that's the Nigerian section of EITI. Okay, so this project is all about using beneficial ownership and extractive sector data to investigate corrupt practices in Nigeria's crude swap deals, right? And what we intend to do here is that we want to see, our goal is actually want to see a more transparent, a more accountable, a corrupt-free extractive sector that will, impact on the lives of Nigerians and also contribute to the revenue stream, of the federal government. So under this project, we have an objective to investigate the companies and the natural owners, the individuals, the persons behind all of the commodity trading companies, which we're going to talk about in details in this conversation, as well as the extractive sector data that speaks to crude swaps in the country. Then also, we also using this project to build the capacity of CSOs, the media, and citizens on what beneficial ownership is all about, how they can use beneficial ownership data to equally track, follow the money trail of all of the companies and the individuals involved in crude swap, right? And also, we intend to engage state actors and agencies, to use beneficial ownership information to also investigate the red flags that we have observed in the crude swap deals since Nigeria, commenced this a decade ago.
Interestingly,
so that was a summary of what we are doing in the Waiting We Gain Open Extractive.
Interesting. So Nigerians can actually know what it is that they stand to gain or what they have lost, in all of this, transactions. So in 2016 or so, Nigeria got into the direct sale, direct purchase arrangement, and since then we've been talking about Nigeria, the oil swap. As an oil producing and oil and gas producing country, how has this affected the ordinary citizen, the ordinary Nigerian on the streets? Because as it is, it seems like we talk about direct sale, direct purchase. We export crude and get PMS, but we don't talk about the other derivatives of the crude that we exchange.
Yeah. Okay. So to give a background to what you are asking, right? It's actually important for Nigerians to know what the crude swap is all about to start with. Yeah, you talked about direct sale, direct purchase. This is just one of the variants in the crude swaps contract that Nigeria has, engaged itself with in the past 1 decade. So the background to this is that everybody knows that Nigeria have refineries. And to be more specific, Nigeria has 4 refineries. We have Port Harcourt Refining Company, the old Port Harcourt Refining Company, with 65,000 barrels per day capacity. We also have the new Port Harcourt Refining Company with 150,000 barrels per day capacity. Then we also have the Warri Refining and Petrochemical Company Limited with 120,000 barrels per day capacity. And then the one in Kaduna Refining Petrochemical Company Limited, KRPC, with 110,000 barrels per day capacity. So cumulatively, Nigeria has about, the 4 refineries have a total capacity of about 445,000 barrels per day capacity. Now, literally, right, the crude oil that is extracted in the country should feed this refinery. That is what it entails. That the several joint ventures that the NNPC has with international oil companies, the share of the federation, the share that should go to the Nigerian Federation, 445,000 of it, 45,000 barrels per day, is bought by the NNPC from the Nigerian Federation to feed these 4 refineries, right? But the Nigerian refineries have not been functional. Every now and then we are inundated with matters around maintenance, issues around pipeline sabotage. That with that the crude oil cannot feed these refineries. We have maintenance problems. We have performing equipment. All of these things have definitely impacted on these refineries. And like I said, every now and then, every regime has been, putting so much money to turn around this refinery so that it will work. But realize that nothing has happened. So what has happened with the 445,000 barrels of crude oil? That is statutorily since 2001. 445,000 barrels per day should go to this refinery statutorily. But with the fact that the refineries are no longer functional, the NNPC now, exports this 445,000 barrels of crude per day in the name of this refinery. And then they do it in exchange of, either they export it and then they use the money for refined fuels, right? Like you talk about direct purchase and sale. It's just one of the various kind of arrangements and has been put in place to, see that the Nigerian economy is saturated with enough, fuel to aid economic activity. So in 2010, the NNPC and as well as the PTMC, came up with that what we call offshore processing agreement, where they engaged Trafigura. Trafigura is an international commodity trading company, right? With an Ivory Coast refinery to refine fuel in refineries outside Nigeria. So they give them the equivalent of the crude that we have that should go to this refinery, and the equivalent in terms of fuel, in terms of diesel, in terms of kerosene should be imported back to the country. That is one of the arrangements that was done. Then we also have the what we call refined product exchange agreement, RACHEA. So they give they give commodity trading companies crude oil, and they expect these commodity trading companies to source for the byproducts of the crude oil anywhere in the country, across the world, and then they bring it back to the Nigerian market. And then the DSDP that you talked about, the direct sales direct purchase. So for the past 12, 13 years now, Nigeria has been doing so much of the crude swap. So this is just the backgrounder for all of this. Yes, beyond fuel, there should be other byproducts like diesel. There should be other byproducts like kerosene, which is being imported. But the question is, what is the supply like? What is the supply like? There has not been so much transparency as regards to the volume of the byproduct that is being imported into the country, especially under the direct sale, direct purchase that you just alluded to. There's not been so much transparency about that. But we know that the NNPC has engaged several companies since 2016 to engage in DSTP. So,
No.
but we don't know the quantity and the quantum of the byproduct that these guys these commodity trading companies are importing. So let me leave that here for now.
Now
Because
there's so much to talk about. I wish we had all the time to talk about all of these, because as it is, if we don't know the quantity, if the measures for which we sell and which we import and which Nigerians even consume, we don't even know what amount of or how much PMS Nigerians consume on a daily basis. That's also still shrouded in some level of secrecy. Some numbers are not, we haven't been able to add those numbers up. Now let's just move away from that and talk about what beneficial ownership is all about, and why do we have to discuss beneficial ownership and the crude oil swap in the same sentence? What is beneficial ownership about, first of all?
Oh, okay. Thank you. So when we talk about beneficial ownership, so Nigerians need to be aware that Nigeria is an implementing country of the Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative. So Nigeria has been in this EITI since 2003, and that is as a result of this Nigeria being a part of this that NEITI was established, and now we have NEITI Act of 2007. So the EITI, part of the principles or standard they expect implementing countries to implement is to bring about reforms in the extractive sector, that will bring transparency and accountability, and actually the use of the resources that is gotten from the extraction of crude oil, so that it will impact on the citizens. So part of the reforms that the EITI has done, especially in the EITI standard of 2019, is that implementing countries should begin to implement reforms around beneficial ownership. And Nigeria has equally made very big progress in that regard. We have the Karma Act of 2020 that speaks so much about beneficial ownership, but in our law it's called persons with significant control. So persons with significant control in a company is referring to individuals that are living individuals, people who are breathing, human beings, who ultimately benefit from the company that they've established, the company's activity, right? Control the company. They have large influence around who can vote in the board, influence around who has the power to and fire, the influence around the shares, the dividends they draw from those businesses. Sometimes, yes, you know the name of companies. The name of companies as registered is a legal name. But sometimes you have this legal name, but you don't actually know who are the actual owners. The natural persons behind this company is what ownership is all about. So that is what is ownership. Who are the persons behind the company? Who are the persons actually own this company? Sometimes you see some names, in fact, even in legal documents, but even those names are not actually the legal owners. I mean, the natural owners. So those people can just use some kind of, they can use other persons to, hide their mark. Yeah, so but beneficial ownership is all about the natural persons, living human beings, breathing, and who ultimately controls, influence, and draws financial and any other kind of benefit in the company. That's beneficial ownership. Now, how does it connect to the crude swaps? It will interest you that when we talk about the crude swap, is a different area of oil and gas and mining mining industry that people don't know so much about. Now, we know about upstream, right? We know about midstream, which is more like refining and the transportation of, natural resources, oil and gas mining, right? We also know about downstream, what we see in all of the filling stations around, people marketing all of these products. But a specific leg in all of this is what we call commodity trading. Companies that are engaged in logistics, yes, and they are essential actors in a long process of getting commodities from producer. So they get. So, for example, we are talking about oil and gas industry now. These commodity traders, they get crude oil from upstream companies. So they will get it from international oil companies who are extracting this, or get it from our own NNPC, for example. And then they sell this crude oil to refineries of the world. And in turn, they get the refined products of all of these refined products from the crude they got from. And then they bring it back to markets where it needs to be refined energy, refined fuels, and all of that. So you have commodity trading. It's a different ballgame in the entire value chain of the extractive, sector. So the connection with the crude swap now is these commodity traders. Who are they? Who are the owners of the commodity trading companies that have been involved in the crude swap? These are the issues we are talking about here, right? So we are interested to know the beneficial owners, the natural settings, the human beings, right, who have been benefiting from the Nigerian crude swap deal. And because Nigeria has lost federal revenue, which in our subsequent editions you will get to see the numbers, coming out from in fact the Native report. So we are interested to know who are the natural owners behind these companies and how they ultimately profit from trading of Nigeria's crude, as well as the importation of shale, diesel, kerosene. Like you rightly say, what about the other byproducts? What has happened to them? Right? So these are the big questions we are interested to ask. What has happened to the taxes that these companies should be paying? Because we've equally observed that some of these companies are not even registered in Nigeria. So, and the argument has been that since they're not registered in Nigeria, they are not supposed to pay tax, or they can't pay tax. So these are the issues. What happens to there should be product specifications, right? When they import, right? So what happens when we have fuel that is below the Nigerian specification? Sometimes you see that they import bad fuel. Who pays for the consequence? So we cannot know all of this until we unmask the individuals behind the commodity trading companies that are involved in this commodity trade.
Now, speaking of unmasking, we still have the oil theft, which is, for me, if we're trying to unmask those who are behind the commodity trading, we also should be unmasking those who are stealing our crude oil, who are, involved in the oil theft, because there seems to be a connection between commodity traders and oil thieves, those who are stealing our oil and making huge sums of profits off it, while Nigeria continues to lose out in the whole value chain. At what point would Nigerians begin to get to the point where they're able to point to people and say, because we have local content laws, for instance, how about making sure that whoever is trading in the value chain or at any level, whether upstream, downstream, or midstream, is a Nigerian company that can be identified and have the people, the real owners of those companies, come on board? What's stopping us from what's stopping the federal government from investigating this?
Okay, so yes, there's need for investigation, right? But the system, the infrastructure, what needs to be done needs to be done. So, for example, for a very long time, native Nigerian extractive, for example, because NNPC is representing Nigeria. For example, because NNPC is representing Nigeria in all of the JVs that they have with international oil companies, especially for deep offshore assets to have metering. No, we don't know what is being produced, and so we cannot. In fact, it's so bad that even our regulators don't even have the specification of deep offshore assets. We don't have that capacity to produce. As we speak, Nigeria doesn't know what is produced as regards to crude oil and gas. We don't know. So if you don't know, how would you know what has been stolen? And the exception of last year where NNPC came out and said crude oil, that there should be investigation. We should not allow this to slide. And that is where the EFCC comes into this, because this is more like economic sabotage, and it should not be allowed to spill through. So the critical question is, why has there not been metering in all of our fuel stations and the terminal? Why are there no metering? Yes, and the securities too. It's not enough to tell us that it's not possible to steal the volume of crude that NNPC claims is stealing. It's not enough. A super tanker came into this country, and it was not even caught by Nigerian security forces. It was done by Equatorial Guinea. So these are the issues. There is need for serious investigation, and it begins with the NNPC. NNPC seems to be, in fact, NNPC seems to be so powerful that nobody can investigate it. And in fact, if you ask, who is the Minister of Petroleum? Who appoints the GMD of the NNPC Limited? Who appoints? It's still the Minister of Petroleum, right? So you see, and you know, the Minister of Petroleum happens to be the president, and he has minutes. Investigation can be done, but what can happen with all of this investigation?